Hello, and welcome to SSUC, to Spiritual Seekers United in Community. Welcome on this day when you join us on our trek, on our journey through this series that we have engaged in over the past number of weeks. This series to be caught in the midst of troubled times, but to explore and to examine the tonics and the medicines that will see us through. This week, as we explore the medicine of rest, we welcome you. We hope that you're feeling restful, and if not, then hopefully you might feel differently after some time together. Welcome to Spiritual Seekers United in Community, to Southminster Steinhauer United Church's live stream. It is great to be back. After a few weeks away, I can say that rest is good. Rest makes a difference. And along with my teammate Nancy, along with musicians Deb and Janice and Pam, with Jim and Catherine, and along with Brett and Noah in the booth, we welcome you to this experience today. We are all delighted to be here, socially distanced with one another, making music and making this experience, which we hope that you will enjoy today. To be community in this time is to be together in unique and different ways, and to not allow whatever is going on in the world to dissuade us from being the community that we need to be and the people that we are. And so as we gather today, as we gather every time, we fulfill and we affirm the people that we are, the people that affirm that what matters most is who we are, that what matters most is how we treat each other, how we work to make our communities better, how we create community where we all belong. And so wherever you are today, welcome, and know that we're glad you found us. We're glad we found you. As we take some time at the beginning of our gathering, we take some time to acknowledge the place and the time that we're in. And so in this place in South Edmonton where we're gathered, we respectfully acknowledge that we're located on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for the Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, the Blackfoot, the Métis, the Nakota Sioux, the Deneta, and many others, whose history and languages and cultures continue to influence our vibrant communities. Wherever you find yourself this morning, may you have a moment to acknowledge the place that you're in, to have gratitude for the place you sit, the view that you see. And may we take a moment, too, to be amazed at wherever we are. Your dot on the map, your place in your life, all that's happened that brings you to this time and this place. Let's be grateful. And now I want to invite you into one of our favorite moments. We light our candle here in this room as a symbol of our connection to each other and our connection to all. And although this is a favorite thing to do when we're all together in a space, to light a candle that symbolizes so much, what makes it even more special is to know that many of you are lighting your candles, and we invite you to do that along with us. And we're seeing glimpses of that as we receive your photos that you submit, and we continue to receive them, and we're so grateful This week, grateful to Sushila Sami for sharing your at-home candle with us. And we recognize that so many of you light a candle and create a special place. And that's meaningful to us, as we hope it's meaningful to you. Share your pictures with us by emailing them to the address on your screen. And we'll be able to share them. And it connects us with each other, doesn't it? To know that we're all creating a special place for ourselves and with each other. As we gather together in this experience today, let's let music and song also connect us to our theme of rest, connect us to our beings, to be in our bodies fully, and to sing together. For our Time for All Ages today, I want to share a little confession with you. Last night, we put a movie on, and in our cold little family room, I cuddled up under a blanket on the couch, and about halfway through the movie, I wonder if you can guess what happened. Yep, I did fall asleep. I just couldn't keep my eyes open for one more minute. Maybe that's happened to you. I'm sure it has. It happens to us all, I'm sure. Although I've met someone that once you put a movie on, they can't even bear to miss even a second of it. And that's a perspective I've never understood, because the movie goes on for me sometimes, and it's just like a lullaby. So I thought I would share with you a few examples of some other people falling asleep when, well, people, I use people in the broad sense, people and animals falling asleep when perhaps they shouldn't. So There's a doggy falling asleep right into the water. Oh, luckily I had a pillow last night, so this wasn't my problem. But this little child, look at that. So tired. Oh, how about this one? One of them so frisky and playing, this little kitty, but the other one, too tired to sit up. Oh, cute little ducky. Oh. Well, with paws in the water dish even, look at this puppy just can't keep their eyes open. So sleepy. I wonder if you ever feel so tired that you just can't keep your eyes open for one more second. Those little videos remind us that sometimes, all the time, we need to remember to listen to our bodies. When we're tired, we can listen to our bodies and know that we need to rest. We need to go to sleep. When I'm feeling that way on the couch, I think also of the way I feel when I finally do go to bed and just let go. Oh, that's such a beautiful feeling. When we're thirsty, we have to recognize that we need to drink some water. We need to listen to our body. When we're hungry, eat some food. When we're anxious or stressed or bored, we need to do something different and get moving. Listening to our body is something it takes our whole life to learn and relearn and keep learning. There have been many things that have made claims on our thinking and our feeling and our being. And that has happened now for many, many months. Continued stress about the pandemic and increasing numbers in many of our communities. An election in which we've witnessed a divided and harsh American environment. The ongoing and renewed examination of racism in our living. It's been a lot, and it continues to be a lot to deal with. So we offer today's reflective teachings in 3 parts. They may connect for you and maybe not, but they will add up to 3 different ways to ponder the idea of rest. A needed tonic in these troubled times. The first of these I've entitled White Space. Now, I may have shared this before, but my favorite moment in a live performance of classical music, primarily, is the silence right after the last note of a piece. Now, assuming that there's no really annoying person in the audience that likes to really start clapping before the piece is over, that moment can be really sublime. The last of the reverberation of the sound is echoing in the hall. The musicians' instruments are held in a state of frozen time. The conductor's hands are still motionless in the air, keeping anyone from moving a muscle. That moment doesn't last very long, but long enough for a breath, an exhale, long enough to appreciate the sound that has been contrasted to the silence that is. This quote gets attributed to anyone from Mozart to Debussy to Miles Davis, so it shows you there's some wisdom in it if everyone wants to claim it. But it's a quote that goes something like, "Music is not in the notes, but in the silence in between." Graphic art and design have a similar term to describe the absence of text or image. Music has rests. Graphic design has something called white space. It's the space on the page left unmarked, untouched. White space makes text readable. It makes our attention drawn to what the artist or designer wants it drawn to. It makes art beautiful. White space is not blank. It breathes beauty and gives the eye a place to rest. Without it, clutter takes over, and we don't know where to look or where to focus. If we think about it this way, we too are canvases. And we long for quiet and beauty even amid all of the other stuff of our lives and our days. We crave the balance between action and inaction, between full and empty. And without some white space in our living, everything else is just too close together, too cluttered, and who knows where to focus. From the world of science. In an article published in the July 2012 issue of Perspectives on Psychological Science, scientist Mary Helen Imordino-Young and colleagues explore what it means when our brains are at rest. Researchers are understanding the idea of rest by looking at the so-called default mode network of the brain. This is a network that is noticeably active when we are at rest. Seems like an oxymoron, but it's the part of our brain that is more active when we're at rest than when we're busy. Findings from these studies suggest that the brain activity during rest is correlated with things such as self-awareness, moral judgment, different aspects of our learning and memory. And this research suggests that the networks that focus inward versus outward likely are interdependent, meaning we have the ability, with some time and age and maturity and skill, to regulate and move between them. So while our outward attention is for carrying out tasks and actively learning and doing the busy, active physical work that we do, the reflection and the consolidation happens when our minds wander, or when we sit and ponder, or when we rest, or meditate, or lie down and try to empty the canvas of our brain and our mind. According to the authors, perhaps the most important conclusion to be drawn from research on the brain at rest is the fact that all rest is not idleness. While some might be inclined to view rest as a wasted opportunity for productivity, the author suggests that constructive internal reflection is critical for learning from past experiences and appreciating their value for future choices. It allows us to understand and manage ourselves in a social world. It brings a new perspective to this quote by author Wayne Muller, who writes, "Without rest, we miss the compass points that would show us where to go. We bypass the nourishment that would give us comfort. We miss the quiet that would give us wisdom. We miss the joy and love born of effortless delight. Poisoned by the hypnotic belief that good things come only through unceasing determination and tireless effort, we can never truly rest. And for want of rest, our lives are in danger." So when we make room for white space, for silence, for quiet time, for reflection, for downtime, for daydreaming, we step into the beautiful journey of letting go to discover what's worth really holding on to slow, to savor a moment, to enjoy a conversation, to understand ourselves and to ponder our values and choices. In other words, to really live. There's a time to go along with the flow, and there's a time for quibbling. And this is a time for quibbling about time. The following is a writing by Dwight Curry entitled September Songs, and it's found in his book entitled How We Behave at the Feast, Reflections on Living in an Age of Plenty. I want to quibble about prepositions. Should we go with Pete Seeger on this or stick with Ecclesiastes? When the folk singer freely lifted the lyrics for his 1960s ballad Turn, Turn, Turn from the Hebrew Scriptures, he changed that preposition, and in doing so, he changed the expectations of an entire generation. Different versions of the Bible say it differently, but those based on the King James Version say it this way: "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." Pete and other modern translators changed that to "a time for every purpose under heaven." That's what we can quibble over. Time to or time for. To everything there is a season, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Those are a few of the verses. It's so orderly, so reassuring, so balanced. It includes almost everything you have to do in life. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. Equal parts of all things. A little of this, a little of that. Work and play, day and night, good and bad. Balance. Equilibrium. Ecclesiastes might be balanced, but it's also maddeningly vague. Everything's there, but it's not specific. When is the time to laugh? And when is the time to mourn, to dance, to weep, to sow, to rend? When? Are there priorities? What's first? So we have to make it up as we go. We do our best to fit it all in. We want to do it all, so we schedule, we pencil in. Then we erase and we reschedule. We hurry, we rush, we miss deadlines, we apologize, we postpone, we procrastinate, we poop out, we reschedule, we weep, we mourn, we live, we die, we're out of time. What happened? Didn't Ecclesiastes say we would have time for everything? Well, Pete Seeger told us we'd have time for everything, but that old version of Ecclesiastes said there is time to everything. And there's a big difference. If we think we should have time for everything, our time becomes just time for the tasks at hand. We have to make time for it all. That's fine. It's good to have a plan for the things we can plan. But can we plan a time for weeping? For mourning? For laughing, for that matter? These are things we can't schedule. These are things that we must have time to do. Now, if we don't have time for everything, how can we have time to everything? It's all about prepositions. For talks about a specific purpose. It's very particular. To indicates the infinitive, the infinite. To is very open. There is time to every purpose under heaven. Life is time. It consists of mornings and nights, days, weeks, months, years of our time here with each other. There is time to. Life is planting and reaping. Life is getting and losing, weeping and laughing, mourning and dancing. Life isn't for any of this. Life just is all of this. Life is experiencing it all. There is time to experience it all. So we're sorry, Pete. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose. There is a time to everything. Let's live in ways that trust the balance. These are the words of a contemporary writer. May we find wisdom for our living. We don't need to be engaged in a lot of physical labor or intellectual rigor to be tired. A lot of things make us tired. We've all learned in this pandemic that even doing very little, just being in our houses, can be exhausting. Henry Nouwen, the Dutch-born priest and spiritual writer, offers this wisdom to us in his book, The Genesee Diary. The book is his own journal of the 7 months that he spent at a Trappist monastery in upstate New York. A very short time after he arrived, he began doing 2 tasks daily, working in the abbey's bakery and sorting and collecting stones for the abbey's new chapel. After 3 months of this manual work, Henry Nouwen writes, "I am realizing that I don't really enjoy this work. When the novelty of it is gone, it becomes very boring. Packing bread, taking hot bread from the conveyor belt, washing raisins, ironing sheets, collecting stones. They're all good jobs for 1 or 2 afternoons, but after 3 months, my main question during work becomes, when is this over? I told all this to John, my spiritual director, because I felt it was important to wonder how I could make work more a part of my life and prayer and not just an occasion to fret. He understood my feelings. To my amazement, he said that many, in fact most monks, especially the older ones, really enjoyed their work and don't feel as I do. I'd been wondering about that. He showed me that this type of work gives me a good occasion to feel and think deeply and differently. When I study, write, or lecture, I can make things interesting by manipulating them in certain ways. But in the bakery or in the creek, it's practically impossible to make things interesting. Then I am faced with just a job to do and nothing else. And that's when John taught me that I can discover my illusions. During these times of doing something different than I normally do, not as exciting as what I might choose to do, it shows me how I'm constantly looking for interesting, exciting, distracting activities to keep my mind busy and away from the confrontation with my powerlessness, my weakness, my boredom. This different work at least opens up my basic defenselessness and makes me more vulnerable. I hope and pray that this new vulnerability will not make me fearful or angry, but instead open me to the gifts before me. That was Henry Nouwen. And in his writing, it reminds us that rest can come in many forms. Rest can come in the form of doing something different than we're used to. Instead of the mind, start using our hands. Instead of the busy work of tasks, discover the rest in a book we've always wanted to read. Instead of the endless scroll of social media or the flip of a newspaper page, we find something new to draw us outside or into movement. For me, on this recent time away, it was time without emails, time without deep thinking or reading, replaced with a kitchen tiling job where my hands got dirty and messy, and I worried about cutting off a finger on a wet saw. Very different than what I would normally be doing during the day, and it was restful. I wonder what different pattern or different activity we might need to bring us rest. The Jewish practice of Sabbath gives us pause to consider that we not only require regular rest, be it nightly or be it each week, or setting aside a day apart from others to rest and focus, but we're taught that our land requires rest as well. In the tradition of Shemitah, the land is granted a sabbatical year every 7 years, when the land must rest. And we know from our own gardening experience, I know from my own pots and garden plot that planting those tomatoes in the same soil year after year will have diminishing results. The land needs to rest. The soil needs to rejuvenate. The weeds or the different varieties we might plant renourishes with minerals and nutrients that have been stripped by the crops. It's healthy for the land and it's healthy for us. A change, a chance for different seeds to sprout, an opportunity for vulnerability, a chance for rest and recovery. There was once a man who entered a Zen monastery to escape the noise and the mess of the outside world and to find peace and enlightenment. I share this story because you've probably heard so many people in the past months say, "Isn't there a deserted island somewhere that I could take up residence?" And so this man enters the Zen monastery to escape. And the first morning, he is so anxious to get started that he's quite disappointed to find out that his sole task is to prepare his own breakfast. He does it without complaint. He eats quickly and then rushes back to the Zen master to ask, what next? He expected a teaching. He wanted enlightenment. He expected some wise and pithy wisdom. And the Zen master replied, "Now, wash your bowl." Seeing differently is rest. Mixing up a stale routine is rest. Beginning to build a new relationship with time, in understanding there is time to everything, is rest. Appreciating the white space and the silence so that it may contrast and play with what surrounds it is rest. Let's not feel guilty for being tired, falling asleep during a movie. Let's not equally feel guilty for needing a break from whatever it is. May we all find what rest we need in these days. It's a tonic for these times, in whatever way we find it. And so may it be for us in so many different ways.
Find the stillness deep inside. Enter the quiet, the calm inner space, and peacefully drift, peacefully drift, peacefully drift beyond. Live deeply in this moment. Find the stillness deep inside. Enter the quiet, the calm inner space, and peacefully drift, peacefully drift, peacefully drift beyond. Live deeply in this moment. Find the stillness deep inside. Enter the quiet, the calm inner space, and peacefully drift, peacefully drift, peacefully drift beyond. Live deeply in this moment. Find the stillness deep inside. Enter the quiet, the
We hear again and again how important music is to us in this time and how grateful we are to share it and receive it from our spiritual community. That was the voice of Nefesh Spirit, members of SSUC Saskatoon, and we're so grateful for their contribution of music in addition to the music of our musicians here with us in the space this morning. I have a few invitations to share with you today. I want to invite you to an opportunity to go a little deeper, to have an opportunity to reflect on your experience of rest in your life, where you have experienced the medicine of rest, an opportunity to engage with each other this morning at 11:15, shortly after our live stream ends. You will find a link for a Zoom connection to gather with others, to have a conversation, to go deeper using the principles of the Circle Way process. If you don't have access to a messenger that you received on Friday and would like to receive the link, please contact us in one of the ways that you see on the screen, and we'll be happy to make that available to you. We hope that you're tuning in midweek each week for the offering that Ariane and Daisy are bringing to us in our Kids and Family series, an opportunity to engage a story and some activities, some movement with your children or your grandchildren or those children that are in your life, an opportunity to learn love and kindness and being the best you that you can be. We also want to express our gratitude to those of you who have been so faithful and able to continue to support us financially during this pandemic time, that have enabled us to continue to offer the programs and support the outreach agencies and programs that are so important to us. Thank you for the contributions that you make online, the contributions you make by e-transfer, the checks that you drop off to us. The office is now open on both Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 until 1. And also for your support of the grocery card program. This is an opportunity as we're coming into the Christmas season to purchase some grocery cards as gift items for family members. Please take an opportunity to give consideration to the ways that you can support that program. We also have a fundraiser coming up. You see a few details on your screen, but joining me is one of the Cookie Monster people to talk with us about that.
Hello, everyone. I am just so excited. I can hardly contain myself because I guess I should introduce myself first. My name is Ginger, and my buddies Chip and Shorty, they couldn't come this morning, so I'm speaking on for all of us on their behalf too. But we thought the cookie walk was going to be canceled, and we were just so depressed because we count on it every year, and then we heard that it's going to be a cookie drive. And you can come and get cookies, and we need more cookies, by the way. The two boss ladies told me to say we need more cookies, so you can call the office. But you can come and drive and buy us and enjoy cookies for the Christmas tradition that we do every year. And we can raise money for the church at the same time because we're still kind of having church in COVID, and we need money, and you need cookies, and so we hope you'll support it because it's really an important fundraiser and it's a lot of fun, and we're just so happy to be part of it. So maybe Chip and Shorty can come and say hi next week, but today it's me, Ginger. Thank you very much, and we hope you'll come out and help us.
Our spiritual gatherings are an opportunity for a reset in our lives, a resetting of our intentions to live in ways that are loving, merciful, compassionate, just. And so we take an opportunity each time we gather to share and speak our intentions. And so we do that just now in words that you find on the screen. We will offer together as a way of strengthening our intentions to live our deepest and highest humanity. We pray with one another. We speak our gratitude for the opportunity to listen underneath, within, and beyond the world we see on our screens and toward the world we wish to build. We all need comfort in the midst of our losses. We all want to share what we have found to be true. We all need people in our lives to shoulder burdens together. May we find wisdom for the path before us, to pursue justice where walls shut out the light, to find perspective and understanding for ourselves and others, to find peace where we are anxious. We pray as those seeking balance and harmony in our living. May it be so. As we live in this season between equinox and solstice, we are deeply aware of the shifting balance, the relationship between light and darkness. We see the increasing darkness, time for more rest, time to bring a new relationship between effort and energy and rest and reflection in our lives. The light changes at dusk and dawn. We change our light from the individual flames we have lit with one another into the collective energy we create together, as though it were smoke dispersed into our families, our homes, our places of work, our places of effort, our places of rest. We celebrate the light we each bring and the energy we create together, that faith might be stronger than fear, that trust might honor darkness, and love might prove itself to be stronger than hate. With the energy of our songs and our prayers, words of wisdom, and the call of our highest humanity, we move from this time we've shared together into the gift of this day. Stay well, find rest, be safe, and we'll see you soon.